Hey everyone, Alan Shimel, DevOps.com, DevOps TV here at IBM's Interconnect 2017 on the show floor at Mandalay Bay. Joined by a good friend of DevOps.com and a renowned Steelers fan, Carmen DeArdo of Nationwide. Carmen, welcome.
My pleasure, Alan.
So, we promised we weren't going to talk football.
Okay, that's how you got me on the show, though.
I know. Well, quick plug. Carmen's son actually writes for 24/7
That's right.
sports about the Steelers. Brian DeArdo.
Brian DeArdo.
Always a good column to read. But we can't talk football, Carmen.
Okay.
Let's talk DevOps.
Let's talk DevOps.
So, you're here presenting as usual. Why don't you give our audience a little bit of a background? What are you presenting on this year?
Well, I think actually the good news this year is I got a lot of people on the team presenting. So I have a panel with Sanjeev tomorrow.
Sanjeev Sharma.
Sanjeev Sharma, the one and only. And I'm doing a lightning talk in this booth somewhere over there, which will be a new experience. But we've actually had a couple people from our team talk, which I think shows, our progression now is it's not Carmen, right? You talked to Chuck Ward.
Yes.
He had a nice presentation with D.B. Edwards about some of the things we're doing.
He mentioned
Sam
that.
Patino talked about culture, which we always talk about how important culture is. Preston Waller from my team talked with Sheetal from IBM on our urban code implementation. So, we have a lot of different talks going on that really are our approach, our strategy, how we're implementing the tool, and then, as we always talk, mindset and culture.
Sure. So, Carmen, to me, though, what you're really describing is something that we're seeing happening in a lot of enterprises. And that is that we're moving from the beachhead DevOps, right?
Right.
To pockets of DevOps.
Right.
To DevOps enterprise-wide, right? So I think when I first met you 3-4 years ago, it was very much organizations were dipping a toe in the water, if you will, and they had a DevOps project. And we spent a lot of time talking about how do we make that DevOps project successful, that one project, make it an important project but not mission critical perhaps, right? Make sure it's successful, and it's successful, tout its success. Take the team members, break them up into other teams. Right? So now we kind of spread the word. And now we start having pockets of DevOps. Nationwide is an organization where I think you kind of led the way a little bit in that you went through your beachhead phase. You went through your pockets of DevOps phase. Are we now seeing Nationwide as just a DevOps-enabled organization?
I mean, I think that's a good description, right? I sort of look now as we've kind of gone through in the last 10 years 3 transformations. We did an agile transformation about 10 years ago that we started. We did a lean transformation, and then I think, as you described, we're now doing a DevOps transformation, and that it is now we have some establishment, right? Across the enterprise, where teams, it's no longer questioning the value of it, even questioning what it means. It's really about now we have initiatives and we have an underlying technology pipeline, and how do we start really using it to accelerate delivery? It's kind of like you build the car, you can drive the car, but how can we go faster in the car? So now we're really experimenting on that platform to say what kind of things allow us to go faster, that we can take advantage and improve our capability to really reduce the time it takes us to deliver to our customers.
Sure. So, Carmen, let me ask you, how do you, and I don't mean you individually, how does Nationwide define success in DevOps?
So I think when you look at our house, which I think you've seen before and we've shown, right, the top of the house, which is our true north, is reduce lead time for change, and what it says is enabling responsiveness to the business. So success in DevOps is our ability to respond to the business needs more quickly. I mean, it's very simple, right? If we're doing something that isn't going to help us do that, people are free to challenge, in the DevOps space, why are we doing it, right? And now that doesn't mean we're going to sacrifice quality. That doesn't mean we're going to sacrifice security, performance, any of the beats, as you said. We've already established things. We're not going to retreat from those, but
Sure.
it's taking those things and really, measuring and then improving our ability to be more responsive.
Absolutely. And Carmen, who keeps score?
I get to keep.
You
No,
get-
I mean, that's a great question, because if you look at the State of DevOps report, there's 4 metrics, the key metrics, right? One is, your success rate of changes, which we had a metric on. Another one is mean time to resolution, which we had metrics around, right? One was frequency of deployment, which, if you're only, in the past when we were only deploying every month, well, that was pretty easy to keep score on, right? And obviously we want to improve on those things, but the last one is lead time. And it's not lead time from code commit to code deploy, it's lead time from hypothesis to feedback. Well, we weren't even measuring that. And I think people like Mick Kirsten, the CEO of TaskTalk,
Sure, I know, Mick.
would say, nobody really had a good sense of that measurement, right? So we're starting to instrument things now, working with TaskTalk, working with, to try to implement exactly how long does that take? Because how can you possibly keep score, right, if you don't even know where you're starting, if you don't have a baseline? And then getting more visibility into your value stream, into the wait states, because you can't really improve. So even if I get a number, okay, it's 60 days or it's 80 days or whatever the days it is for this kind of initiative or this type of work, right? Defects or features. If you still don't know where you're slowing down, where your bottlenecks are, you really can't address improving it. So one of the key things that we're benefiting from, and we're trying to take advantage of an integrated pipeline, is using technologies like TaskTalk to get visibility, to measure that, and then see where our opportunities are to improve.
Sure. So let me ask you the next thing. And Carmen, we're looking at mainstreaming of DevOps to some extent, right? More companies doing it. And I asked you about how do you measure your DevOps, because when there was a time we looked at, let's say, Gene Kim's book and the 3 ways, principles of DevOps,
Right.
and based on those. And we're seeing not evolution, we're seeing different methods of measuring DevOps, right? So one organization put out 4 principles of DevOps. Another one does something else. Does that water it down, or do you think we're big enough to change it, or is there a nitty gritty to the truth that remains nitty gritty kind of thing?
I mean, I recently wrote an internal blog, and maybe I'll externalize it so we can publish
I have a
it.
great place for you to put it on.
Okay, I've heard of that. Yeah, that DevOps.com place. So I called it DevOps across the value stream, but there's certainly components to accelerating your delivery, right? Sometimes I say that I think the last frontier of DevOps is actually the flowing of work to the backlog of teams, right? I know in our case, and I don't think we're alone, you can spend the majority of your time before a card ever gets in the backlog of an agile team.
Sure.
So you can be great at agile and you can be great at automated deployment, but if you can't get the work to the team more quickly,
What good is it?
it's diminishing returns.
Yeah.
So concepts like minimal viable product and small batch sizes and product centric. Well, I mean, I can say those things. To be honest, though, I'm not sure that that's something I've seen a lot of enterprises, right? That's where the unicorns had the advantage, because, I only have 1 product. I only have 2 products. Well, sure. You can flow that to a product team and you're good, right? If you have thousands of applications and a diversified portfolio, how do you actually get away from that project structure? I mean, you'll know one measure of your success is when you no longer start talking so much about projects than you do about flowing work to your products through the pipeline, right? And then there's the architecture component, right? Can you do we talk about APIs and microservices. Well, that's the next part of the value stream. Can you really do that? 12-factor apps. You have to have applications that can live in the cloud, right? You move into more automation. So through the value stream, there's things that you need to do. Right? Really, the principle I think really gets down to lean concepts, right?
Yeah.
Do you have manual activities? Do you have wait states? How do you address them? And then how do you sustain it? Right?
Yeah.
Because I see with lean, a lot of times you go in, you do it, but if you come back a month later, are they still doing it, right? The 5 S's, the 1 S in lean that I think is the hardest one sometimes to do is the sustainability. So I don't know. We still anchor things to the 3 ways, right? We anchor things to flow and systems thinking, accelerated feedback, amplified feedback, which means shifting left. But then probably the most important is really that continuous experimentation and mindset, because you have to want to keep getting better.
Sure, man. Carmen, so you know what? You're no kidding around now. I'm telling you the truth. You're a wealth of friggin' DevOps information and knowledge. You know that?
Well, that means a lot coming from you, Alan, because if you hear, you're at the center of this.
I talk to a lot of people, but you know your stuff, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that, and I love all the stuff that you've been doing for the community.
Yeah,
and
we try.
And
we're Steeler fans.
So I'm glad to be able to participate.
Absolutely. We're going to call it a wrap here from Interconnect with our friend Carmen DeArdo of Nationwide, DevOps extraordinaire. This is Alan Shimel for DevOps TV and DevOps.com.